Last Christmas, my 10-year-old sister Noelle got a set of these 12 mini stress balls, and they were multicolored and they were actually pretty cool. And she got 12 of them, and since a stress ball was something I figured I could use too, being a college student and all, I asked her if I could have one. And to both my surprise and expectation, she gave me her typical 10-year-old attitude and furiously told me no, as if I had asked her to give me the most expensive thing in the world. And maybe that's just 10-year-olds, but maybe that's also human nature. People naturally hold on to the things that they deem as precious, and they don't easily give them up, even to people that they love. And we see a similar story happening in the Bible, but on a much more magnified and expensive level. In Mark chapter 14, verses 3 through 9, we get the story of the unnamed woman who anoints Jesus. And the story begins by saying that while Jesus was in Bethany, reclining at the table in the home of Simon the leper, a woman came with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume made of pure nard. And now this jar of perfume that this woman had wasn't just any perfume. It wasn't just one out of 12 stress balls that you could buy on sale for $15. Nard was one of the costliest ointments you could obtain at the time, and it cost more than the price of a person's entire year's wages. This perfume was of really high value, and it was incredibly precious to anybody who was in possession of it. But the story continues, and right after this precious perfume is mentioned, Mark writes at the end of verse 3 that the woman broke the jar and poured the perfume on Jesus' head. What? Without even a transition word or a provided explicit reason as to why the woman would do such a thing as break a jar of this expensive perfume, it simply says that she broke it and anointed Jesus with it. Now, the term broke has significance to it because a woman could have just easily opened the jar and carefully drizzled a little upon Jesus, saving the rest for later. But the fact that she broke the jar indicates that there was emotion attached to what she did. Scholars say that her action wasn't premeditated, but it was impulsive. And although the exact emotion isn't in the text, I think it's fair to wonder that perhaps as she entered into the room and saw her beloved and honorable Jesus sitting there, the woman was moved to such great reverence and devotion that in an impulsive and almost emotional manner, she broke the jar of perfume because she wanted to give everything, every last drop that she had in that moment to Jesus. And now the other men at the table, including Simon, did not see the woman's actions in this way. In fact, in verse 4, it says that some of those present were saying indignantly to one another, "Why this waste of perfume? It could have been sold for more than a year's wages and the money given to the poor." And they rebuked her harshly. See, the men around the table were more concerned with what was rational. It's true, the money could have been used differently, even to help others. But at that moment, helping others was not the main priority at hand. The men at the table dismissed the reverence and the emotion of the moment in favor of their argument. But while helping the poor is so important, helping and loving others like the poor is the second command of Jesus and not the first, which is to love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. And so, instead of rebuking the passionate woman, instead of agreeing with the men at the table, and instead of telling the woman she could have used that money differently, Jesus looks toward the men and corrects them, saying, "Leave her alone. Why are you bothering her? For she has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, and you can help them anytime you want, but you will not always have me. And she did what she could. She poured perfume on my body beforehand to prepare for my burial. And truly, I tell you, wherever the gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her." See, Jesus called this woman's seemingly impulsive and rash decision a beautiful thing. This sinful woman, sinful like every one of us, was raised to the highest place, even above the teachers of the law, sitting at Jesus' table, and is remembered today as an inspiration for how we should all honor God. Jesus honors our radical and extravagant faith. And not only the sinful woman at Bethany, we see this all throughout the Bible, right? David's undignified dance of worship pleased the Lord. When Paul and Silas were in prison, their worship was evangelism for their jailer. In Luke 10, Mary was honored for choosing to sit at Jesus' feet instead of being distracted about work and anxiety. And to both Mary and Martha, Jesus said, "Mary has chosen the good portion which will not be taken away from her." Oftentimes we shy away from the radical, the extravagant, and the emotional. We don't want to break the jar. And if we're being honest, ultimately, we don't want to break our reputation. We fear there will be people who rebuke us, who wonder what the heck we are doing, who tell us that we might even be crazy. But Jesus is honored when we decide that he is too beautiful, that he is too great, and that he is too precious for us not to show him every ounce of our love. Jesus honors our radical faith. Thank you.